Yo, what is actually up, everyone? Welcome to The Explainer. Be honest with me for a second. You've definitely had that moment, right? It's like 2 a.m., the room is pitch black, and you're just 2 hours deep into a feed. Your eyes are completely glazed over, and you are literally physically unable to put the phone down. We joke about it all the time. We call it brain rot. We post memes about it. It's just a casual punchline. But is it actually just a joke? Because today we are unpacking the literal hard science of how screens are rewiring our minds in real time. Before we get into these insane leaked documents and wild psychological studies, make sure to hit that subscribe button and follow the Inner Drive channel. We're dropping explainers like this all the time to help you level up, and you do not want to miss out. We are about to decode the actual architecture of your attention. No cap. Let's get it.
So here is the massive question we really need to tackle today. Are our screens physically changing how we think? Like, are they fundamentally altering the biological mechanics of human thought? It sounds like some dystopian sci-fi movie, but it's a huge debate right now. Now look, older generations love to panic about new tech, right? Back in ancient Greece, Socrates literally thought writing things down on paper would ruin our minds. Fast forward, people thought reading fiction novels would rot our brains. So it's super easy to brush off today's screen time panic as just more of the same boomer energy. But what if this time the glitch in the matrix is actually real? What if the shift is happening at a hardware level in our brains? We need to look at the actual receipts. And to do that, we got to start by completely dismantling one of the absolute biggest internet myths out there.
Section 1. The Myth of Brain Rot. Fact-checking the Goldfish.
Okay, so you have 100% heard this stat before. Time magazine, huge marketing agencies, influencers, literally everyone loves dropping this supposed fact. Quote, the human attention span has dropped from 12 seconds to 8 seconds, shorter than a goldfish, end quote. They usually cite this super official-sounding 2015 report from Microsoft Canada. But guys, here is the absolute wildest truth about this. It is entirely 100% fabricated. Total fake news, seriously. Actual journalists went digging. They tracked down the specific sources Microsoft cited, which turned out to be this completely defunct, sketchy website called Statistic Brain, and the data just didn't exist. It was literally a made-up statistic loosely based on some random analytics report from 2008 about people bouncing off websites they didn't vibe with. That's it. And the goldfish part? That's a total lie too. Goldfish actually have incredible memories. Scientists have proven they can remember spatial routes and specific feeding times for literally months. So yeah, we have effectively been gaslighted by a fake statistic for almost a decade just because it had good shock value and sounded edgy.
The truth is, actual literal neuroscientists have a completely different take on this whole situation. They've explicitly noted that there is zero evidence, like absolutely none, that the biological capacity for human attention has changed since it was first recorded way back in the late 1800s. Your biological hardware? It is perfectly fine. You are not broken. Your brain is perfectly capable of being totally locked in and focusing on a single task for hours. Our baseline human capacity hasn't degraded a single bit. What has fundamentally shifted, though, is the environment we are swimming in. We dropped our perfectly fine brains into an entirely new digital ecosystem. And that, my friends, brings us to the actual structural problem.
Section 2. Menus versus automated feeders. The interface is the architect.
To truly understand what is actually rotting our brains, we can't just look at ourselves. We have to look at the exact architecture of the apps we're using. Researchers call this the agency problem. And honestly, the best way to explain this is with a food analogy. So think about traditional media, like old-school Netflix or standard long-form YouTube. It operates exactly like going to a restaurant. You walk in, you sit down, you browse a menu, you actively select what you want, and you order it. You are entirely intent-driven. You have main character energy because you are in control. Now, compare that experience to short-form video. I'm talking TikTok, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts. It is absolutely not a restaurant. It is an automated morsel feeder. You don't get a menu. You literally just sit down, open your mouth, and a machine algorithmically drops a tiny, hyper-flavored morsel of content directly onto your tongue. You're just passively consuming it. And if you chew it, boom, it feeds you more of that exact flavor. It completely removes the human experience of choosing and replaces it with endless, frictionless, bottomless surprises. You aren't driving the car anymore. You're just strapped into the passenger seat.
And if you think this loss of control is just some random accident of app design, you are dead wrong. A massive leaked internal document discovered when 14 US states literally sued TikTok revealed their actual undeniable strategy. A reporter managed to bypass a totally botched redaction in the legal files to find this exact quote. Listen to this.
TikTok's success can largely be attributed to strong out-of-the-box personalization and automation, which limits user agency. Bro, they are literally saying the quiet part out loud in their own internal files. Limiting your ability to make conscious, proactive decisions isn't some unfortunate side effect. It is their core, highly successful, multi-billion-dollar business strategy. They literally want you on autopilot because a user on autopilot never closes the app.
Section 3. The cost of task switching, the 40-second reality.
Okay, so if our underlying capacity for attention is totally fine, but the interface itself is actively stealing our agency, what is the tangible, real-world fallout? Let's look at the work of Dr. Gloria Mark. She's a researcher who has spent 2 literal decades in the trenches actually measuring this stuff in the real world with real office workers. And the drop in our daily focus is just staggering. Back in 2004, Dr. Mark used literal physical stopwatches to time office workers. The average time they spent locked in on a single screen, 150 seconds. Fast forward to 2012, they used tracking software and found it dropped to 75 seconds. Today, in 2024, it is hovering around 40 seconds. A massive 70% decline in sustained screen attention. Again, we haven't lost our biological ability to focus. Instead, we've conditioned our brains to expect and actively crave continuous, non-stop novelty. We are living our entire lives in a state of continuous partial attention. We literally cannot go a single minute without a ping, a ding, or this intense internal itch to switch tabs.
But hold up, because here is the absolute most brutal number of all. 23 minutes and 15 seconds. Let that sink in. That is the exact amount of time it takes your brain to fully return to a state of deep, productive focus after just one single interruption. That right there is what scientists call the switch cost. See, your brain is a serial processor. It physically does not do true multitasking. That's a total myth. What it actually does is rapid task switching. And every single time you switch, every time you glance at a text or flip to a new tab, your brain has to completely reorient its cognitive gears. So let's do the math. If you're checking your phone or switching tabs every 40 seconds, you are mathematically, literally, never ever reaching a state of deep, meaningful focus. You are just permanently drifting in the shallows.
And look, this isn't just about wasting time or being unproductive. It's a massive physical drain on your body. Dr. Mark refers to this as the cognitive tank. Every single time you rapid-fire switch between tasks, it actively drains this super-limited physiological reservoir of neurochemical resources in your brain. It literally raises your blood pressure, it physically spikes your stress hormones. You know that completely exhausted, totally fried feeling you get at the end of the day when you feel like you've done literally nothing but scroll? That is your cognitive tank running completely on empty. And here's the trap. When it's empty, you have absolutely zero willpower left to resist further distractions. It is a vicious, endless, self-feeding loop.
Section 4. Swiping kills analytical thinking. The Peking University study.
All right, let's get into the hard science because this is where the receipts get absolutely terrifying. Researchers at Peking University really wanted to isolate exactly what short-form video does to our analytical reasoning. They used this concept called dual process theory. Basically, you have System 1, which is fast, automatic, and totally gut-driven. Then you have System 2, which is slow, deep, and analytical. I want you to try this out with me right now. Ready? A bat and a ball cost $1.10 in total. The bat costs exactly $1 more than the ball. How much does the ball cost? I guarantee you your immediate gut reaction, your System 1 autopilot is screaming 10 cents at the top of its lungs. But if you actually pause, if you boot up that System 2 analytical thinking, you realize that if the ball is 10 cents, the bat would be $1.10, making the total $1.20. The real answer is actually 5 cents. This is the super famous cognitive reflection test. You literally have to forcefully override your own autopilot to get the correct answer.
So the researchers gave this exact test to 2 groups of students. One group was told to just sit and read a book for 30 minutes, while the other group just scrolled TikTok for 30 minutes. The results? The TikTok group performed way worse on the test. But the scientists took it a step further because they wanted to know if the actual content of the videos mattered. So they split the scrollers up. Some watched highly educational science videos, and others just watched cute animals doing silly things. The data they got back was insane. It showed that the content type made a totally negligible difference. Whether you were watching a guy explain quantum physics or a dog doing backflips, it literally did not matter. What actually mattered was the swiping action. The physical, repetitive act of swiping had a massive, statistically significant negative impact on their analytical thinking.
The reason for this is honestly pretty simple, but it's super dark.
The repetitive, low-effort motor action of swiping literally trains your brain to favor automaticity over deep deliberation. The interface itself is the actual threat here. When you have the power to instantly skip anything the absolute millisecond you feel a tiny bit bored, you are heavily reinforcing that fast, shallow System 1 processing. You're effectively conditioning your own brain to abandon complex, slow reasoning. You are actively trading away your critical thought for rapid, stimulus-driven reactivity. And honestly, the scariest part of all this, it doesn't just affect how you solve math problems, it literally wipes out your future goals too.
Section 5. Erasing Perspective Memory, the Internal Whiteboard.
We're moving on to another genuinely shocking set of studies that came out of Munich and the UK. And honestly, this one is going to hit super close to home for anyone who has ever opened their phone intending to check a very specific email, completely blacked out on a stream of reels for 20 minutes, and then put the phone away having absolutely no idea what they originally opened it to do. Sound familiar? We are talking about something called prospective memory. This is the specific type of memory required to remember to perform a planned action in the future. It's the brain function you use to remember to take your medication at a certain time, or to join that Zoom call at 2 p.m., or to text your mom back when you get home. It is arguably the single most crucial type of memory for functioning as an independent, responsible human being.
So researchers gave a bunch of people a baseline test for this prospective memory. Then they made them take a 10-minute break and tested them again right after. During that break, they split them up. Some people just rested, some scrolled Twitter, and some watched TikTok. For the people who just rested or scrolled text-heavy Twitter, there was basically no drop in their memory. They also had a group that was limited to exactly 10 swipes on TikTok and then they had to stop. For them, also no drop. But the group that was allowed unlimited, infinite TikTok swiping, they experienced a massive, highly significant drop in their prospective memory scores. The infinite scroll essentially creates a literal dissociative state in your brain. You get so deeply, hypotonically immersed in that sensory feed that you completely lose the thread of your own identity and your own intention.
Dr. Gloria Mark has this absolutely brilliant metaphor to explain what's happening here. She says, quote, "Every time we switch topics on our screen, we effectively erase that internal whiteboard and rewrite it with new transient information." End quote. Think about that. The continuous swiping prevents the ink of your actual real-life future goals from ever setting. You're just endlessly, frantically wiping the board clean every few seconds, leaving nothing but a smeared, cloudy mess of attention residue. This isn't just about being a little distracted. It is the forced, systematic surrender of your ability to consciously decide where you are going in your own life.
Section 6. Reclaiming your cognitive agency. From reactive to proactive.
Okay, I know that was a lot of doom and gloom. If you are feeling stressed or cooked right now, just take a deep breath. Because the truly beautiful thing about human neuroplasticity is that all of this cognitive damage, it is completely 100% reversible. We do not have to stay in the automated feeder, we can step out. Here is a super actionable toolkit to start reversing the damage today. Step 1. Try a 30-day dopamine reset. Literally starve the algorithm for a month to let your brain's reward receptors recalibrate. Step 2. Switch your phone to grayscale mode. Strip all that bright red, hyper-addictive salience away from the interface so it stops screaming for your attention. Step 3. Add friction. Remove Face ID so you actually have to physically type in a password every time you unlock your phone. It gives your brain a crucial 1-second pause to ask, wait, do I actually need to check this right now? Step 4. Protect your deep work hours. When you need to focus, remove the phone from the room completely. Out of sight, out of mind. By doing these simple physical things, you are literally rebuilding your cognitive tank.
Because listen, reclaiming your autonomy isn't just some cringe, hustle culture, productivity hack. It's so much deeper than that. Doing this rebuilds your selective interest in the real world. It physically breaks the algorithm's autopilot state. It eliminates that sticky, exhausting attention residue we talked about. It completely restores your proactive control over your own actions. And most importantly, it protects your fundamental psychological integrity. The famous psychologist William James said way back in 1890, "My experience is what I agree to attend to." Think about how powerful that is. If you aren't consciously choosing what to attend to, some tech billionaire's algorithm is choosing your entire life experience for you.
So, as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with this one huge question to chew on. In a world that is literally mathematically designed to steal our attention, are we ready to do the hard, uncomfortable work of consciously choosing where we intend to go? Are we actually ready to reclaim our minds and step into that main character energy? thank you so much for locking in with me today. I know we covered a ton of intense ground. If this explainer shifted your perspective even a little bit, be sure to hit subscribe and follow the Inner Drive channel. We are 100% dedicated to unpacking the hidden systems around us to help you take back your autonomy and live intentionally. Stay focused, stay proactive, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.